Joining us today is Winston Robinson, a native of Charlotte's historic Wilmore neighborhood and a passionate community organizer. As the founder and executive director of the Applesauce Group, Winston has ingeniously combined his talent for event planning with a mission to increase home ownership among Black Charlotteans. Through initiatives like A Vibe Called Fresh, he creates engaging events that blend entertainment with essential resources on the financial literacy and home ownership. Winston's deep connection to his community and innovative approach have made him a pivotal figure in addressing displacement and promoting economic improvement in Charlotte. His work stands as a testament to the power of resilience and community-driven solutions. Thank you and welcome back. Look who we have here. Oh, wow. Charlotte's own Winston Robinson. Thank you so much for being here with me
Thank you
today.
for having me. This is so exciting to be on the Dr. Tamesha
Yes,
Frazier
the
show.
voices
Yeah,
of
this is
resilience.
amazing.
Yes.
Yeah.
Listen, fun facts. Let's get into it. I am so excited about having you here that I have so much going on in my head right now, but let's just get into the fashion of it, because I think sometimes people, they see you and they see you moving and shaking, but they don't know that a little birdie told me that you all into the fashion. So get me together.
No.
Get me
I don't
together.
know. First of all, can't listen to all these
sold
birdies out
clothes.
here. Oh, nah, so that's different. That's more attributed to a hustle than a fashion sense.
Okay.
However, I do recognize this wonderful suit you have on. That is, I mean, it looks custom. I don't know if it is or not, but it is very meticulously detailed and very high quality. In the world of fast fashion and Temu and Amazon, you can definitely have an appreciation for things that were made with elegance and craftsmanship.
Thank you very
like
much.
it.
What about my eyebrows? Because I heard you did them.
So the thing was, they are impeccable, by the way. Again, very, very nice wax against grain to make sure that.
Listen to this.
So I only charged $2 for the eyebrows. That was only to get people in the room to buy the clothes. But for some reason,
I love the hustle.
Yeah.
This is just beautiful because these are the different sizes.
Yeah, I cut hair, so I can do eyebrows too. So yeah, I know how to get to it.
And that's what I'm here for, because I think that you getting to it is what we all need to do. You know, if we all can get to it, then we can probably get something done. So,
Dr. Hughes Frazier, how should I address you?
Just call me Dr. Tamesha.
Like that's my rap name. Just call me Dr. Tamesha. All right. But that's who we are. That is our existence in America. That's what everything for us is soul food. So, you know, whether you practice that one way or another, whether you hustle, whether you know how to do things, or you're self-sufficient, regardless, you have your way of surviving that is very unique to your experience in America. So we all do it.
Okay. I love that. And that gets me into my first question. Everyone that comes on here, I'm going to ask them that, because these are the things that are important to me. Are you first generation?
Am I first generation? It depends on the context of generation.
Yes.
In the context when it comes to highbrow, that I can't even count it, because all of my people, my ancestry, we've made it through insurmountable odds to do something. So I would not want to look at my foundation as inconsiderable enough to make me first generation, because they're first generation at every step.
Right.
My granddad's job at the shipyard in Virginia, which gave him asbestos poisoning, took his, that's first generation though.
Right.
Because his parents were sharecroppers.
So you're looking at it from the experience.
It's always first generation something.
Yeah.
We're always getting better. So I wouldn't dare call now, first generation to graduate from college, sure. Yes. But is that just a response from the current condition where I was kind of led? Sure. But yeah, my dad is an artist.
Yeah.
My dad is also 78. You know what it took for a person, a black man, to deem himself an artist? in the Jim Crow South,
Yes.
you were not an artist. You was that N-word who was good with his hands, or a craftsman. It was
That's
always
right.
something, because art is a distinction of intellect.
It is.
Art is how you process society. When we go look and judge a society, whether it's the Mayans, the Romans, we find the art.
Mm-hmm.
If aliens come down 2,000 years from now, they won't know what to do with a CD or an
Exactly.
MP3 player.
That's
They look for
right.
the art to
That's
assess the
right.
society. So a black man deeming himself an artist, he had a lot of pushback. So I can't consider that first generation. Yeah, of course, that's first generation.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know. I am the existence of people who pushed against something they were not supposed to have.
Mm-hmm.
If whatever we call that, so be it.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know if I'm first generation. I don't think I'm first generation.
So let's make it clear who this artist is. I want to just, if you don't mind telling my people who this distinguished artist is, this historic artist who.
His name is Tommy Robinson. He is a noteworthy artist, has been an artist solely, not like an artist and a school teacher or artist or making. He has made his career off of his artwork, been in national publications, Watercolor Magazine, American Artist, multiple times, workplace throughout the nation, every corporation. Yeah, he has quite a legacy, and he's done it from the South. Funny story. I remember Romare Bearden when I was a kid.
Wow.
And my father began, like they had like they got to know each other, right? Mm-hmm. And Romare Bearden would often try to get my father to move to New York and Harlem, because he had multiple buildings and he wanted him to go, to a space that appreciated art and black artists for what they were. And my father's response was, no, I have to stay in the South. If you can make it in the South, you can make it anywhere.
It's true.
So it's not that his art was to be judged and categorized by the people who like art.
Right.
He had to make believers out of him, not just the art, the idea of he can occupy the space.
Right.
So I think in his mind that has far more significance than merely being checked and validated by the people who are already there.
Right.
So
that's. So art is a movement. It is a movement.
Art is everything.
It's everything. And
art is everything.
When I was talking about first generation, because there's first generation to everything. I like that. How for say for instance for young people who are entering to college right now, and they get the opportunity to choose with the environment that we have, the potential threats that we have. I want you to tell me a little bit about your college experience and how it prepared you for where you are right now, or did it? Man,
listen, I don't know if you want me on this interview.
Yes, I do.
Because
I want you to tell it like it is.
The education I have, first of all, I went to the most prestigious, the greatest institution in the history of the world. Winston-Salem State University in Winston-Salem, North Carolina, founded as Slater Industrial Academy in 1892. And what I'll say is the amount of education I had from literally having to figure it out trumps anything any book could have told me, any curriculum could have been forced on me. Winston-Salem State taught me about life. And this is also why I encourage black children to attend HBCUs, because that is the only time you will know what it is to be within a lived experience of blackness.
Yes,
completely.
That's right.
And also, that is the only time where you have to lean on your acumen, because your blackness is disqualified.
Right.
I went to Myers Park. I was, one of the last classes of busing. And coming home with those mediocre report cards, I can always say, them they racist, dad, whatever. I couldn't do that at Winston-Salem
That's
State.
right. You had to
Everybody's
show
black.
up.
So I actually had to, you got to show up.
Right.
And you want to show up because the people are invested in you and you feel that kinship.
Right.
The professors, they know me. Like, these are like my parents. So I don't want to disappoint them. And also, it is the ultimate space of diversity because race is not a factor.
Right.
The first time I ever seen black kids who were like goth fashion, is it goth like the goth,
Yeah.
and you listen to punk rock. That was at college.
Right.
I just never saw variations of black. The first black person I ever met from Alaska and Arizona, and how they brought their cultures with. That's the education. That's what I learned. Now, my major was business, marketing, banking and finance, and management. And I got all 3 concentrations under one major. However...
Wow. Wait. What'd you just say?
So the business administration degree has 3 concentrations: management, marketing, and banking and finance. I was making so much money out of my dorm room, having such a great time. I had to tell my parents why I want to stay another year.
Right.
So
I got it here.
And the other concentration was just like 6 credits apart. I'm like, it doesn't matter where, just knock them all out and keep having fun. So I was having the time of my life. I didn't want to leave. But when it's time to put something on the resume or work a cocktail room and sound snooty, that's what I say. Okay. But I was just having a good time. But yeah, so all of that is the social aspect is the education that I would prioritize, because what you will also find out is when you're an adult, asking a 17-year-old kid to make a decision to determine the rest of his life or their life might not have the legs. So do the things that you learn from in social settings. Right. Learn the etiquette of people. Learn the value of relationships. Learn how to navigate systems. Study, because you got to earn your keep. You got to stay there. You can't get kicked out. You got to have that GPA just right.
That's right.
However, don't overstress about the things related to major if you're not really certain. That's Some people, my wife, she knew she wanted to be a dentist. She was what, 7 or 8? And guess what she is now? A dentist. Loves it.
Awesome.
I ain't like that. Right. Not to mention, especially even the HBCUs, there are so many majors and so many careers and so many practices that we are recently finding access towards, or we just don't know about.
That's right.
So any church elder who want to be encouraging, they'll tell you the same 2 professions. You can grow up, be a doctor or a lawyer.
A lawyer.
Yeah.
Right.
You can be either one.
Yeah,
but there's a whole world of things out there.
That's right.
So, if you don't find your way within that 4 years, it's fine.
It's fine.
But learn the people part. Yeah.
That's right. That's right. And I love that you touched on engagement and the sense of belonging and investing. And so I'm hoping that this next generation coming up, they have that opportunity. And so I'm going to pivot a little bit, talk about how I first noticed you or even met you. Was that I'm not a morning person. Like I am not like, woo, at 8 o'clock in the morning hit different, right? But it hits even better when you see people discussing pivotal issues, topics that are changing Charlotte. And what I found at the forum was that real people, real issues, and we're gonna put it on the table and be able to ask questions without it being personal. These are just facts.
It get personal every now and then.
It does. It get a little heated. But this is where you come in, and this is what I love, is that you say, hey, these are the rules. Boom. You know what I'm saying? These are the rules. So check this. You've had, like, in the past 2 weeks, you've had, like, some hard hitters. Not to say that it hadn't been any in the past, but to have a panel of all mayors, can you give us, how did that come together?
So first, I have to acknowledge and pay homage to what the Sarah Stevenson Tuesday Morning Forum is and has been since the mid-1970s.
Wow.
This is 50 years
yes.
of important information being distributed to Black community.
Yes.
And it's such meticulously detailed information that you won't find it in a Google search.
No.
And it's spaces where you can allow dialogue, so
That's
you
right.
can challenge questions. You can ask from different perspectives, you know, and with the city leaders, resources, business community.
Right.
This is the space. And again, it started organically. It still feels organic now. Even that, so it starting from the mid 70s is one of my favorite little facts about it, because they really don't know when it started. It was the mid 70s.
Right.
You know, it's Black people right there tell you, oh,
Right.
well, 73, 74, now 78, I think. So you just say the mid 70s.
Right,
But
right.
that, again,
Right.
imagine something developing just so freely
Right.
and naturally that you don't even know what the year was.
Exactly.
But yeah, it's so important. And I'm the youngest in that group of facilitators, amongst the youngest by maybe 30 years.
Mm-hmm.
And those are my mentors. Shout out Miss Laura McClellan, Miss Jackie Walton, Miss Mary, Miss Carlenia, Steve, Dr. Thomas, Gary, Shay,
Yes.
Miss Aretha, Jay Hill, everybody involved, because you know I've learned so much and been connected to so many from such a prestigious room. And Miss Sarah Stevenson, who kept the first Black woman on school board, just for PTA. Legend,
The list goes on.
legend.
Wow.
Yeah, but yeah, so they let me do the Black History Month programming, and I got a marketing background. I wanted to start with something polarizing.
That's right.
And realized that we had 4 Black mayors who were all very much alive, and I don't think they've ever been together to speak on their experiences as people.
Right.
So let's ask them. You know, just simple as that. So yeah, and I asked them. They each obliged. Mayor Anthony Fox was supposed to come in, but later had something added to his schedule. He's working out of Harvard right now, and still joined us via Zoom. So I was very thankful for such a historic moment taking place and going well, having spirited conversation, and I think it did exactly what it was supposed to do.
Yes. I got to see some of the highlights. I was impressed with it. I like to see our leaders be human, you know, be relatable as they transition and take on leadership roles that mean so much to us and have made decisions that have impacted us, you know, whether it be good or bad. They're still human. And so that's what I observed from that panel. And so I was impressed with that. And so it helped me to want to take a dive into who you are, you know, and I know you're so special. And so,
I'm some dude.
no, but for real, I wanted to understand who was behind applesauce. What? I mean, I think about applesauce. Let me tell you, I put some applesauce with some scrambled eggs, and you know, it's the best.
Wait.
Yeah, I know.
Is that something Cincinnati does? Or is that you personally?
I think it's personally, but
applesauce and ooh.
No, but it's not together. It's on the side. You know, it's on the side. But applesauce.
I'll make it better. So you use applesauce like grits?
Yes.
Whoa,
calories,
man.
But it's good because it's.
Tell me more about federal prison. Ooh, that is wild.
Listen.
What?
Hey, you never know unless you try it.
No, I just won't know. I ain't trying it.
But let me say.
I'm
this.
sorry.
No, you're
my
fine.
bad.
No, I love it.
That
I
threw
love
me
it because
off.
this is you. I want to know how did the applesauce group come about?
I lost my mind.
That's all.
Yeah,
hey, that's when most genius happens.
No, crazy. It depends, you know, fine line. So, this is all right. Take this pause. He can edit this out.
No,
but I'm gonna tell a quick paraphrase, long version of a story.
Okay.
I graduated from undergrad in 2004, right? 2005, we had a little disposable income. We all out in the world working, and this is a world before social media.
Right.
So we all had fun summers, and we wanted to say farewell to summer, and we all put money in the hat, say, let's host a cookout.
Okay.
We did that. It was like 10 of us, and it was at Sugar Creek Park. And it was the greatest day ever. It was amazing. So we said, let's do this again.
Mm-hmm.
And we did it again. And this, again, is a world before social media. So when you wanted to meet people, you actually had to do it. You had to
Right.
meet people. There's no DMs to slide or, you
Right,
just got to
right.
meet people. So that was our social life, farewell to summer. We called it, can I cuss on here? Or the big A word cookout. That was the name. That was the running name. And we did it from 2005 to 2015 when out of nowhere, I got a call on my cell phone from a county official saying, if you ever have this event again, we will ban you from the use of park and rec facilities for life.
Oh, wow.
And that freaked me out for two reasons. One, they called my cell phone. By muscle memory, anytime I would fill out the application, I put my mama home address and her landline.
Right.
So when they called my cell, I'm thinking they got a special ops team. They got the shooters on me. I don't want none of those problems.
Like, this is inside.
What? Then I'm looking at my future, and if I had children, I can't go to the park with them. Like, Lord. So I didn't want no smoke. I told them, that's it. We're done.
Right.
And I thought, just the man being on me, because we were never making it was never any issues or problems. But what we have found out later is is at Sugar Creek Park. And Sugar Creek Park is about 1/8 of a mile from the I-85 Sugar Creek Road exit. Mm. While we were inside this insulated park that's far back off the street, 500, 600 deep, at a shelter that was supposed to be for 35 people, we had shut down both lanes of I-85 from people trying to get there.
Right.
And then, it's us. So we parking all the neighboring businesses, blocking driveways. It was a whole infrastructure nightmare that we had no idea. But anyway, I found that out. Thought it was reasonable. Cool. I won't smoke with the county. We're done. No more cookout. Me and my wife, we bought a house. And it was this neighborhood, Lockwood, which is directly across from Camp North End. I don't have a cookout to go to. I'm not doing this. I'm working in experiential marketing. I'm traveling. We move in this house. My wife's like, you should go to this neighborhood meeting. We saw a sign out. She sent me there to get me out of the house. I go to this neighborhood meeting. First time I walk out the vice president of the neighborhood association. Wow. Because old black people know how to put batteries in your back and make you believe in yourself. Yeah. If you ever tell a toddler, like, let me see your muscles, that's how I was.
Right.
Oh, you are young, strong, capable man. You're so smart. Oh, you could be a good president. I'm eating it all up. Mm-hmm. So I took on this job, and I regretted it so fast. It was the hardest thing ever. So now and shortly after, the person who was elected president had family to get ill in New York, and they had to leave, so now I'm the president. And a month after that, Realtor.com, they put out a list, because blogs love lists, of the fastest gentrifying communities in America. Number 1 was Little Haiti in Miami. Little 2 was Rivertown in Detroit. Number 3 was Lockwood in Charlotte. Mm. And I'm the president of this community. I'm getting calls from national press. And keep in mind, this is Realtor.com. Not .org or net.
Oh, wow.
This is capitalism.
Mm-hmm.
This isn't like, these poor black people over here. No, it's like, hey, go get them. This is the third phase. Yeah, look, here, I'm throwing you this plug. So I'm dealing with all of this in this neighborhood that's very small, maybe 150 houses. And it is 2 different worlds. It's 2 different experiences.
Exactly.
However, I'm in a unique position where I get to see it from the vantage point of the people. And I know this lady lived here 60 years and has been marginalized, underrepresented, under-resourced. Then this new group of people, they just expect the system to respond to them the way the system always had.
Right.
And the traction is in the middle. And I wanted to find out how we got here. I knew what racism was conceptually. I live it. But to see it from a standpoint of shared housing experiences, that led me to read The Case for Reparations and Color of Law. Case for Reparations by Ta-Nehisi Coates, Color of Law by Richard Rothstein. And those books changed my life forever.
Wow.
And it drove me crazy. Ta-Nehisi Coates said, he basically pretty much said, you take the legacy of slavery, the legacy of Jim Crow. Let's just examine racism from housing policy.
Right.
And show what that does to the wealth gap and how housing and home ownership is the cornerstone to the American dream, and how we've been disenfranchised out of that system for the entire experience except until 1968.
Wow.
My father was an adult in 1968.
Mm.
All of the wealth that could have been built from 1619 to 1968.
Wow.
My mother's in the genealogy. She can trace our family back to the late 1700s. The first person to be born in our family, a real person, a human, is my older sister who was born in 1978. You realize, like, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Yes.
Yeah. So we talk about this stuff like want bootstraps and get over it. No, it ain't been that long.
No, it's been like yesterday.
Yeah.
Wow.
So, when we see people approach racism and the things we endure as like, this ain't magic, this is math. Mm-hmm. You do certain things, you get certain results. So clearly I'm crazy at this point. That's and I didn't know what to do. I don't, have any particular talent, or in this particular space, but I've always been able to throw a good party. I know how to gather people.
Right.
And that was my career in experiential marketing. Did the same thing. I gathered people for data. So I wanted to take that approach and utilize it to create a platform where people can experience joy, become disarmed, feel like they can frolic, and also get connected to resources that will encourage upward mobility.
That is wonderful.
And my son, who was sick at the time, he hated taking, I forget what medicine it was, but he hated taking it. And we give it to him through applesauce. So hence the name Applesauce Group is like the old parental trick. Everything you need wrapped up in everything you want to kind of, soften the blow. So
listen, that's huge, because I think sometimes we just want to give it to people, and we were like, why are they resisting? This is good for them. This is an opportunity to change the trajectory of their of their health, their living, their all of this, and it's the delivery sometimes. It's the mechanism of how you put things together to say, hey, this is the medicine that needs to heal you. I like that.
Black people get deprived out of so much, but one thing that flows, one thing that is plentiful, that flows in Black communities is advice. Yes. Everybody can tell you how to get your act together. Know what you need to do. Know what everybody like.
Right.
The thing is, it becomes exhausting. It becomes overwhelming. To experience life in Blackness is every waking moment in your head.
Yes.
You are thinking. Every moment you're up, it's a strategy. You're lost in thought. How I present, how I sound, how to deal with this microaggression, how to navigate this system. If you go to the gym and work your arms 24 hours, well, if you sleep 16 hours a day or 14 hours a day, you would cause tremendous damage.
Yes.
It's the same thing with your mind.
Right.
If you're in thought so much, what are you doing to yourself? That's why, that's why it's so alarming to see that stereotypical image of gentrification, which is that young white woman just walking a dog in a dangerous area. But she gets to frolic, like, oh, she doesn't have to think.
No.
She doesn't. She like, that is something I can't even imagine doing. I don't know what that feels like.
Right.
I can just walk because I want to walk without having to think about my safety, my body, what the implications could be. She just gets to walk.
That's it. And even when we are in those spaces and places, the level of questioning about why are we here? Like, why, are you lost?
All of it. And like, again, your entire existence as a Black person in America is just a systematic doubt.
Yes. One of the good things about, even in the midst of this Blackness and all of this, is that we have someone like you who, yes.
Don't put that on me.
But listen, I'm going to tell you, it's serious, because somebody got to do it.
I don't want to do it.
Why not? I know. And most great people say that. Most people who bringing it, they bringing they John the Baptist. They bringing the news. They bringing it. Like, look, be prepared. No. But I want to know, and only you can tell me, is about the Great West Side Fish.
Fry.
Fry.
The
I
Great
was
West Side
coming.
Fish Fry.
The Great West Side Fish Fry. Did I say it right?
Yes. Yes.
Fry.
So that's one of the applesauce group festivals, and the idea behind it is the underlying theme is to showcase that cultural connectivity, to showcase that uniqueness and diversity within cultures of within Blackness, and to also show how we're deeply connected. Again, whether you're from Ghana, Haiti, South Carolina, New Jersey, Cincinnati, West Side of Charlotte. When fish come out of grease, it's more than sustenance. It's connectivity. It's community. We gather. So let's do that with all of these different cultures and see what kind of immersive experience we can have in community. And they are amazing. Like, to have New Orleans bounce music playing as you eat a Nigerian fish plate with the whole fried snapper with the head on and jollof rice.
Oh, the best.
Like, it's just Blackness from many different spaces. It's just such, it's beautiful. You know, it's such a beautiful experience, and I think it gets the job done because, again, it's connectivity, it's wholeness to show how we are all foundationally aligned with each other. And it's next one, April 26th. So yes, pull up Great West Side Fish Fry. It is a dynamically beautiful event.
Oh, that's wonderful. So when I think about you in all of these spaces, and we've talked about the forum, we've talked about applesauce, the Great West Side Fish Fry, and now we're going to get to, it's definitely not the least. It's just among the greatest, vibe called Fresh.
Yes, that is the flagship festival. That is what the cookout developed into after the people from Camp North End offered us a space. So that was same heavy bass trap music, same food from the grill. But now that I'm neighborhood president, I have access to organization that's offer resources. One of those came through CMHP, which is now Dream Key Partner. CMHP, Charlotte Mecklenburg Housing Partnership, had a contract with the city to administer their House Charlotte program, which was an experience that if you went through these courses that would show you how to become a homeowner, at the end, you would get $25,000 of grant-funded down payment assistance.
Wow.
That was in 2017. Now it's $35,000. And the programs are stackable, so you can keep doing them. NACA, for instance, will take down 1% off your interest rate. I've heard of people going to closing with up to $85,000, $90,000 of free money.
Wow.
So their monthly payment is probably $3.
$3, right?
But anyway, I say, so now that I know these things,
right.
And not only that, they get underutilized because you don't know what you don't know. You don't know they're out there. So I'm like, wait a minute, we have this available. How can we get this to people?
Right.
The way I know how is through the way I know how to gather. So I wanted it to feel like the same cookout, but now we have these resources on site. We even had like panel discussions featuring political officials under Gucci Mane and OJ the Juice Man beats. So they're talking of, it was ridiculous, but it was important because I wanted the people to feel like this world came to us. We weren't pandering. We weren't looking to cross over into what they had. No. They got to come see us.
Right.
And as ridiculous as it was, and I knew it would feel ridiculous, but it was important to get that, that perspective out there. And it went successfully. And I got to a point after the cookout, it was September, maybe in October, mid-October, I said, people just kept coming up to me, telling me stories or things that they've heard through the grapevine after the cookout. And I started taking a tally. From October to mid-January, I tallied 47 people who began their journey towards home ownership because of something they learned at the cookout or someone they met at the cookout. And all 47 didn't buy houses.
Right.
But, doing anything intimidating, the hardest part is starting.
That's right.
And they started that journey from something gained at the cookout. And like the first time, it was like, let's do this again.
I
And we
love
did it
this.
again and again, and yeah, and we're here now.
This is awesome. I mean, the social capital that you are bringing to our community and allowing people to network and figure this thing out. This is, I feel like this is the way forward, for us. When you look at our community, and one of the things that I love about Charlotte is that it's the best. Well, it's no longer the best kept secret. It used to be. It used to be the best kept secret for me because coming from Cincinnati, oh my goodness,
Cincinnati, I think, mirrors Charlotte a lot.
it does now. But when I left Cincinnati, my eyes were just blown away to see our community thriving so well. Because, in Cincinnati, we only have 2 historically Black colleges surrounding on the outside. And
Oh, you count that as you might Central State and
Wilberforce,
Wilberforce?
yeah.
Oh, that's about okay. All right.
Listen, I came down here,
All
so
right. I got you. I guess okay.
okay.
For context, that is
Right.
like
It's on the
counting
outside.
Salisbury as
Yes,
Charlotte.
yes.
Okay. All right.
Because otherwise, we would not have had. And I really can't say that I had an HBCU experience until I came to North Carolina because of it's just
CIAA. You ain't want to say it?
It was just, oh my goodness, it was just so
Party.
much Black
It was
excellence,
beautiful, yeah.
And I was like, wow. And it was just, you can go anywhere in North Carolina without embracing that. And so with that being said, one thing that I've observed about you is that in every space, and even right here, you remain your authentic self. I want you to explain to those 16-year-olds right now, those 17-year-olds, those 18-year-olds, and even 20 who are in college or thinking about going to college or they're going or trying to do vocational or wherever they are, how can you maintain your authentic self in a digital society?
What's the alternative? That's the thing. Like, if we look at the context of behavior from the space of high school, from the context of what we remember from high school, then you realize, quite frankly, how stupid it all is. Like, when somebody's faking.
Oh, yeah.
So why wouldn't they know when you faking? So when you approach the world feeling inauthentic, they're going to look at you as weird.
Right.
So just like, again, whoever you are, show up as that.
That's right.
And it saves time. Now you find out if you can connect with a person, if you have a relationship with a person, if you are aligned with a person, But I think the deeper issue is understanding that intelligence can sound anyway.
That's right.
Wisdom can sound, like, don't get caught up in talk white, be
Code
yourself.
switching.
No,
Yeah,
please.
no.
Because again, when somebody faking, why wouldn't you expect them to know if you were?
That's right.
So it's just not worth it. It's whack.
Okay, so this is great. And so now I want to ask you a question about your outlook on Charlotte. You're in many different spaces. When we talk about the growth, when we talk about the community, what do you see right now happening currently?
Oh man, that's a dynamic question. I see many things. On one hand, I see a lot of smart, ambitious, talented Black people migrating to a very, what I would once remember as a, slow southern city. However, on the other side of that, I see everybody I went to high school with being pushed to Shelby, Kings Mountain, Belmont. They can't afford to live in this version of Charlotte. For context, I'm 43, and this is 2025, because, this might live forever. So the version of Charlotte in which I grew up was the tail end of a textile city merging into an industrial commercial trucking transport city, blue collar, right?
Right.
And then after Hugh McCall ran his play, and now we've become this financial center. So it went from very blue collar to white collar within my childhood. Well, not within my lifespan, I mean to say.
Right.
And that is very two different characteristics of a city.
Yes.
And I'm going to tell you where you can feel that most. Shout out to the natives at Hornets games.
Oh, yeah.
When the Hornets, when we had the first arena of Tavola, the Hive, it was electric. You know,
Right.
people, blue collar people, throw themselves into the sports teams.
Right.
However, white collar, it's just, oh, okay, I had access to tickets from my job, or
Right.
there's no passion really invoked in
Right.
it. So you kind of have, you know, you don't have that fan base started from an allegiance. Just like, okay, we're here. We just might as well root for the home team. And that's what I miss about the city, that grit. Everything is so polished. You know, you even phrases like the Charlotte way, where you can encounter a whole bunch of nice nastiness.
Mm-hmm.
It's not like call a thing culture. South Park used to be a regular mall. Now it's super big time, fancy. Louis, Gucci, Ferragamo. It used to be straight JCPenney. Yeah, but you know.
Yeah.
So I appreciate growth, but it's still reflective of a system of racism in which black people are often left behind.
Right.
But those are national things that we have nothing to do with. You know, if we look, one thing I can point out from being here this long is when I was in high school, Vance was the new school, right?
Right.
And Vance was maybe, let's say, 80, 15, 5, 85% white.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm sure this is off, but 80% white, 15% black, 5% other.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of ambitious transplants coming to work into the banking industry, found their way along that W.T. Harris, that world. And let's say those black people move into spaces like Highland Creek, you know, they come down and buy a house for, in 2002, $100,000, which is crazy just the sound of that.
Yes.
$100,000, right? And they lived a beautiful American life.
Mm-hmm.
Right now, that house might get a respectable 350 to 400-ish. However, one thing that blew my mind growing up in Wilmore off West Boulevard, in a different version of Wilmore than exists today, which is more South End, my crack era version of Wilmore, I remember a lady bought Mr. Greer's house, a white lady, and she paid $90,000 for it around the same time in 2000. And I thought it was insane because all I remember is my dad, when we'd be in the car, I could have bought this house $10,000. I could have bought this house. They were giving them away. Nobody, they discarded the community.
Right.
So when she bought that house for $90,000, my mind was blown. Same time that black family was moving to Highland Park, that $300,000, $400,000. In Wilmore, that same 100,000 is 1.2 million.
Yes. Oof.
Now, what happens in systems that get one group of people to a community or a certain area and another group? Like, you see what I'm saying? Like,
yes.
when does it become systemic and when is it decisions? And the thing is, there's an American sentiment that suggests that just the mere existence of black people in a space is enough to devalue property.
Right. Wow.
So now we look at Vance, which is Julius Chambers.
Yes.
Probably 99% black.
Yes.
1% everything else.
Right.
Whole black area.
Right.
Walmart is the beauty supply store. And now those same attitudes of ambitious black people who hope to outrun their blackness via education and ambition and salary, they said, no. We must go back with the white people to Mallard Creek.
Yes.
And they started Mallard Creek, same thing. 99% white, 1% black.
That's right.
Now look at Mallard Creek, about 33. And they got a Salon Central right there at Trader Joe's. I said, I know what's happening. I've seen this before.
Yes.
But go to that Harris Teeter on Mallard Creek. They ain't got no fancy cheeses in the kiosk. I'm like, man, so you see it happening.
You see it.
We're playing cat and mouse around the whole city because we are running from ourselves.
That's right.
It's like, if you remember that movie Outbreak, we're patient zero. Mm-hmm. we can never outrun our blackness. That's the foundation of the financial structure of America.
Right.
There is no white supremacy without black subjugation.
Oof.
So we have to be this.
Right.
We're a placeholder. You feel me? You
Yes,
can't
I do
out-earn
feel
that.
you.
You
I
know, you
know.
can't. And so again, for greater context, Wilmore was a white community when my parents moved there. Fair Housing Act.
Right.
Passed 1968. They had an apartment on Booker Avenue, which is off the Beatties Ford. My dad had a GI Bill. They can go buy a house. They found themselves paying double of what a house should cost in Wilmore because now they have this opportunity.
Right.
Not to be beside white bodies, but hoping to access white resources.
Yes.
They happen to buy their home from a man, I ain't gonna say his name, but he was a doctor. He's black.
Right.
He was the first black person in Wilmore. And after closing, he told my parents that he had to leave because too many black people were coming over.
Wow.
And the funny thing about it is, and you probably might not understand the context of it, given that you're not from Charlotte, but the neighborhood he moved to escape all of the black people moving to Wilmore was Hampshire Hills. So I'm like, bruh. He went and did the same thing to Hampshire Hills.
Wow.
He was the plague.
Right.
He was running from exactly what he was. And I think that is a greater story if we understand what our existence is supposed to be here. If we came together, what we could do with each other instead of chasing something that we can never catch.
Or need to catch.
That ain't us.
Right.
But what could we do if we kept our most talented, our most, again, the people who could do so many things?
I love that.
I don't know.
I love that because then we get into that economic mobility, that piece that we're trying to run from Harvard, that says that that's not true. You can be from here and have the dream.
I'm going to tell you how much I appreciate this space right now. That group, Leading on Opportunity, the meeting is right now. It started at 2:30. Guess who's on the council and supposed to be there right now? Me.
You? But you're here.
But I'm here.
Listen.
But I'm here. Now I'm walking the tiptoe late, put my hand up, walking like I walk to church. But that is I didn't want to be there, but that is my obligation and my duty to a community to say the hard things that the corporate members might not have context of or might not understand. And the thing is, it's out there.
Right.
No, seriously. Black people in a place is enough to devalue property.
That's right.
We see stories twice, 3, 4 times a year where some black family had to get their white friends to come in and get their appraisal.
Yes.
Well, let's look at that system. What is the checks and balances for appraisals?
That's right.
So they can basically do anything they want.
Right.
So now we're playing cat and mouse around the whole city, changing from University to Mallard Creek, which started Hidden Valley, because people are trying to outrun something beyond their control.
That's right.
So at which point are we going to just change the narrative together and say, I'd rather just make my own way.
Right. And it's the great idea of you being good enough. You being good enough. Everything about you is so dope that, I don't mind living next to you. I don't mind living. It's an idea. It's a structure. It's
we get each other experiences.
Right.
Like, I live off Beatties Ford Road. All my friends thought I was crazy. Especially I'm going to tell you, for what we paid for our house at the time,
right.
people thought I was crazy. But I'm from Wilmore.
Right.
That's the front line.
Right.
This is also a unique window. This is when we can change it all.
Yes.
Because the demand to be in urban inner city areas has now flipped.
Right.
They don't want the long commutes and go from Huntersville or Matthews as much anymore.
Right.
They want what is close. We have that. We can literally make us a utopia in line with property values and community.
Right. No, I love that.
Because listen.
Listen, I understand what you're talking about because even in the Highland Creek area, I saw during the before the pandemic and during the great flight out of Highland Creek. And now I'm seeing a great flight in Highland Creek of people from out of town
Mm-hmm.
because it's like, wow, this is
Yeah,
good
yeah.
living, you know?
They brought that New York and California. Man. Give me
Exactly.
3 of them houses.
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah, yeah,
And
yeah.
so, you know, where you want to sell your house, where you can go?
Yeah, and not to mention the thought of white flight. Nothing
Right.
takes flight without knowing where it has to land.
That's right.
So you know you can come out clean on that other side.
That's right. Thank you so much for being on the show today. And where can people find you?
Well, they can follow the work at a vibe called Fresh CLT. It's on Instagram, Facebook. Think about starting TikTok. Apple Sauce Group on all platforms as well.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
If you enjoyed this episode, be sure to subscribe, leave a review, and share it with someone who needs a little inspiration today. Until next time, stay strong, stay inspired, and keep building resilience.